thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I really
Oh,
appreciate
God.
it. Um,
Oh, no problem at all.
so I'm
I
Kathy
appreciate it.
Moore. I'm a freelance writer for Rock Off Photography Music Magazine, and more importantly, I'm a huge fan.
Oh, well, that's amazing. Thank
So
you.
I'm
Do you have
having
our new record?
I do, of course I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm having a tiny bit of a fangirl moment. My
Oh, my goodness.
the person that is the owner of the magazine. He sends me an email and he says, and I'm kind of picky because I work a full-time job. I'm a university professor, and so I don't have a whole lot of time. And he says, I have a somebody wants you to do a review of this band, and I think they're your type. I think you'd like them. And he told me who it was. I'm like, are you kidding? I have all of their stuff.
That's
I
too
love
funny.
you
That is
guys.
amazing.
So I have
That is
missed you.
amazing.
I missed you, and I'm glad that you're back.
Well, thank you. So we're glad to be back.
I bet. I bet. So talk to me a little bit about this hiatus. Was there a kind of a moment when you guys decided that, this was the straw. This was like, okay, this is it. We're not doing this anymore.
I mean, I think the hiatus was sort of a, I mean, what's the best word? It was more of a happenstance thing. It was never really us sitting down and saying we're going to stop for a while. And like, I've seen press releases where it said we broke up for a while. That never really happened. What it was right after we wrote Pick a Thieves, when we were writing that album,
Which I
we were,
love.
pretty much, thank you so much. We were on tour with Bright Nights for, close to 5 years straight. And we were away from home and, just learning how to be a band on the road because we had never really toured in our lives. So like we had all those struggles that most bands have. You start to get to the point where you're getting annoyed with everybody around you for the smallest, stupidest things. And, that's where Pick a Thieves kind of was born from. We kind of took a little bit of time there. We kind of all just decided, hey, well, before all this started, we were friends.
Yeah.
So let's get back to that. Let's get back to the love of music. So we started writing that, and we wrote that album. We were about to go on tour for Carnival of Madness, and our drummer, Chad, he kind of just decided he wanted to go pursue other things. And it was a complete amicable split. He decided, we respected him, and we love him still. We were like, go do your thing. Problem with that was, though, he left 3 days before we were leaving for Carnival of Madness.
Wow.
So we were in a pinch, like, what are we going to do about a drummer? And I thought to myself, and finally I thought, I knew this guy from St. Louis, lives in Nashville now, amazing guy. I thought maybe he'd fill in for us. Mm-hmm. It was our new drummer, Andy here. So I called him up, and he said, absolutely, I'll be down. He practiced with us for like 2 nights, and I mean, he was just amazing. He learned everything right off the bat and was on point. Mm-hmm. The reason why the hiatus happened after that was because when we got back home and decided to write for our next album, things changed because you had a new member, and he's such a talented drummer, and the way he drums is way different than Chad, so it changed our sound. So we were like writing and writing and writing and writing and writing, and we were realizing the song didn't sound like the rest of our catalog. So we decided to take our time to write, which is why I said it was kind of a happenstance, because we didn't expect it to take that long. But we wrote and wrote and wrote 60 some odd songs and all that. And then finally, our manager was the one who stopped us and said, look, you guys have an album's worth. You guys should really focus now on picking songs. And we were kind of like, oh, okay, fine. So we sat down and we picked out about 20, 30 songs, and then we narrowed them down, and we spoke to some producers, and then we recorded it with Matt from Blue October in Austin at his studio. He produced it, and ended up being like 3.5 years. And we just it was kind of one of those things where for us it flew by. And then we're looking back going, oh wow, we've been out of the limelight for almost 3.5 years. So we just decided that, let's finish this album and let's put it out, and here we are.
So do you think it'll be hard to kind of break back in? The music business is a fickle business, and it's sort of like, you're on the top of the world one minute, and if you disappear for a while, sometimes it can be kind of hard to break back in. Do you think you're going to have a challenge there, and how do you think you'll overcome that?
I think you always do, no matter who you are and how fast you put out albums. I don't care if it's year after year after year after year. I think, like you said, the industry is so fickle that I think as long as the quality is there, I think it's going to. I think people will gravitate towards it. I mean, it's, I've there's been bands out there that kind of break up and
Yeah.
come back after 5 to 8 years, but if their record is amazing, they're right. They can kind of pick up where they left off. Now, I don't think for a band like us, we never really hit the entire big time. We got some big tours and things like that, and had our fair share of of success. But I think that we know that this album for us is the most honest, most real album that we've ever written or recorded. The way we recorded it was just in 3 weeks flat. We decided we wanted it to sound real. We wanted it to make it feel like 4 guys in a room that were just writing songs and putting them down on tape. So I think the record should speak for itself in that vein. So I mean, I hope the fans gravitate towards it, and I hope that it's not like one of those things where I forgot about them. I don't really care anymore.
Well, I think I agree. I think it's a great. I think lyrically, you've got some really strong songs. Did you write most of the
Thank you.
lyrics, or did you guys all kind of combine to write the lyrics? How did that process work for you guys?
I did. So basically, when it comes to song writing, we're really anywhere within the realm of it. Like if anybody has an idea, we'll work on it.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the times, Chris is a really big musical influence on me.
Mm-hmm.
I love his style. I love the way he plays, and we kind of really mesh like that. So there's a lot of songs where he would send me a demo, and then I'd write some lyrics to it. Or, we'd go into a room and Brian would have an idea. But when it came to lyrics, the band kind of always has said, you handle all the lyrics because these are your personal stories. It's hard for us to dive in and say, maybe the line should say this, and we have no idea what you lived through, So it's like the lyrics are pretty much like stories from my life, and like I try to be as honest as I can. Now, that being said, like Chris is the one that, like, he always helps me when it comes to that. Like, for instance, funny story, like song "Stay."
Mm-hmm.
I was, I wrote it like 5 minutes. He sent me that demo, and on the way to his house, I wrote all the words to it. And I got them. I'm telling him, and we're going, and we're talking, and I'm going, I really have this part for the chorus. Just stay with me now. And I'm like, but how else can I say that to put some more words in it to make it sound, whatever? And he was like, he's one of those guys that pulls me back down and says, you don't need to say anything else. You're saying it. That's it right there. Stay with me now.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You're right. And that's where the chorus kind of stayed at. So
Love it.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so let's talk about then I'm skipping around here, which I'm so bad at that. Let's talk about Wreck Me then, because I wrote a review of of Bridges when it first came out, maybe a little bit before it came out. And I wrote in my review, I wrote this: Wreck Me is one of the bonus tracks, and I could see it as a huge hit for the band. Right away, I loved it. I loved that, and then
Thank you.
now it's a single. So tell me a little bit about that. I love the lyrics. I love the way the music rises and kind of crescendos, and I just absolutely love it. So tell me a little bit about
Thank you so
that.
much. I appreciate that. So that song and Hush, the other bonus track on the album, that song was always meant to be on the album. We went down to Austin and recorded. We took three weeks. Matt had a couple of weeks off, and then he said, I can do it in this time period. He actually had like 5 weeks. And we said, let's do it in 3. Let's just get in there, blow it out, get it done, and, let's make it real. So we don't have time to nitpick over every part. We have to push.
Yeah.
We didn't really have time at the end to finish that song. So we were like, it was one of those things we always planned on re-recording it, and like maybe after the record was out for a while, putting it out as because like Imagine Dragons has been doing that a lot, where they put out their album and like a year after that they put out a song that's not on the album.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe something like that for it, but then when we re-recorded it, we looked back at it, we reproduced it, and it took on a whole new life. We're like, we didn't realize how great this song, in our opinion, really was.
Mm-hmm.
So when we went back to it, it was like fresh eyes, fresh ears, and we were all just kind of, this really needs to be a focal point of our record. So we really just, we loved that song. It was just a simple song. We wrote it real fast. It's like my drummer, from the day we wrote it, Andy, till we decided it was going to be the first song. Was he always said, those are my favorite lyrics that you've written on this whole record. And to me, I was like, really? I mean, there's some really parts on the record that I think are great. He's like, that lyric that you say, no one lights a fire alone. He's like, that gets me every time. And I was like, huh, like that's one of my lyrics on that song that I really, really like too. It was like everybody kind of gravitated towards it. As soon as the label heard it and everything, everybody was just like, wow, why wasn't this on the first, version of the album? Or like, because we just didn't get to it. It was just weird.
Yeah.
Thank God we got a re-release and had a chance to.
Yes, because I think it's one of the best songs on there. I when I did the review, I said, I mean, I love the whole thing, but the bonus tracks for me were just phenomenal. Like I'm so glad I got to experience those bonus tracks.
Thank you so much.
Like, what about the new version of Champagne? How did that come out? Because of course that's probably the first song I knew. I always joke around because on my like ultimate favorites playlist, I have several of your songs actually, and those are songs that
That's awesome.
I never get tired of hearing, and they all start with C, like Circle, Celebrity, Champagne, and I'm like, what is it with all this band and all these C names, right? But why did you decide
That's
to
great.
why did you decide to redo Champagne?
That was actually a credit to our label. So when we signed a record deal with Pavement, our new label, they had just recently, probably in the last year or so, signed Candlebox. They had
Oh,
a lot
love
of success
Candlebox.
with. Oh, me too. What a great group of guys.
Yeah.
That dude's voice is just ridiculous. They had a lot of success when they did a new version of Cover Me, or no, Far Behind.
Mm-hmm.
They re-recorded a version of that before their new record came out, and they had a lot of success through radio with that. So they asked us, "Would you guys want to re-record Champagne?" Well, when they asked us, we were like, "Absolutely," but we don't want to do it the way it is. We don't want to just do another version of the way it is now.
Right.
Like, okay, well, send us whatever you have. So we had this kind of like, we always call it that band, that R&B band from the '90s, Blackstreet.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That song. I like the way you work it.
Yes, no diggity.
It's got that bass to it, and like when we play it live, we laugh about it because I'll be sitting there and the bass will just be going, and I'm going, it's kind of funny, but we wrote the song around that groove, and we recorded it around that groove, and one of the greatest stories about it is the woman part in it, the woman that's singing in that song, that's actually my wife.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
She's an amazing singer. Like she just has this natural ability. She has perfect pitch, and it kills me because like I'm in there recording my parts 8 to 10 times, and she goes in and sings like 3, and she's like, "Is that good?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, got it." And I'm like, "I had to do it 10 times."
Wow. Any chance you guys would collaborate on a like a duet kind of song someday? Would she do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, we've talked about it actually, because that's one of the things like we were talking about after that she came into the studio and did it. Everybody in the studio was rightfully so at first a little bit like, we've heard her sing karaoke, but can she do this? And like they're all kind of like, I'm like, I promise you, it'll be great. And then after that, we're also promising they're like, we should probably think about for the next album, like maybe having to do like an actual full featured duet, with you, like write something so it's written around a guy and a girl part. And I was like, I'm in. I'm completely for it. Like, I love her voice. So, absolutely.
That'll be fantastic. So a couple minutes ago, we were talking about Wreck Me and how much, everybody loves it. And you said that there were another song on the album that kind of stood out for you. What do you think is a standout track on the new album for you or just in general?
That's a great question because it's like one of those things that you ask a musician. It's like you're asking my A&R label side. It's the single. What do I think could work on radio? But when I think about the songs that just like I listen to over and over, and I love for personal, it's like one of the songs on the record, "Take Me Home." It's kind of it had this country vibe to like the Eagles or something when we recorded it, and when we wrote it, we all kind of were like, "Is this really?" Well, should we continue with this song? It's got a kind of a country vibe, Eagles vibe, and we're like, finished everything. I just from the day one, I just loved that song just because it's a very personal experience that I had, and so the words mean a lot to me. The actual title of the album came from that song. That lyric that says right before the chorus, it says, "All the bridges burn that you called home, and now you don't."
Yeah,
that's where the title of the album actually came from, and I'd say that song. I always loved Stay. When Chris sent me that music the first time on the demo, it was just, I mean, like I said, I wrote the lyrics riding in my car from my house to his house. After he sent it to me, I called him and said, we need to finish this. He's like, what are you doing right now? And I said, I'll come over. And I wrote the lyrics in 20 minutes from my house to his house. It's one of my favorite songs that we've ever written. One that means a lot to me, just one more I'll tell you about. Bring You Home. That song was written about, there's a friend of ours from Michigan. She was, at the time, she was 22, I think it was, maybe 21, and she was going through her second bout of cancer.
Oh, that's
and
awful.
She was just the strongest, sweetest. I mean, the heart is as big as you could possibly imagine. Never got down. We did a pledge thing where we could, have people pledge to our website. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. It's
that's okay.
I can't think of the name of the website, but we did a pledge thing, and they pledged. Her and her friends pledged to have what we had. We were in the studio. We did a video call, and we talked to them and let them hear a couple of songs.
Oh.
And that song hadn't been written yet. The music had, and actually the song I messed it up. I'm sorry, my mind goes 1,000 miles an hour, but it's called Fight This War.
That's my favorite song. It's my favorite song on the whole CD.
Oh, thank you. That's the song I'm talking about.
Yes.
The reason I said Bring You Home is because that's what it was called the whole time before the record came out, like a week. Somebody was like, this song is great. I like this, but I think the name of the song should be this. And I was like, stop production, change the name of the song. That's perfect. I love it. So it's been Bring You Home for years, then all of a sudden it got changed to Fight This War.
Yeah.
But we were on the conference call with her, and she had this bright, she was just so optimistic, and I mean, I was just floored. I was tearing up, and went and talked to Matt, our producer, afterwards, and I said, I still haven't gotten lyrics to the song. All I have is that one line, that you fight this war to heal your bones, and I'll fight this war to bring you home. And he's like, that song would work perfect if you want to base it around her. And I sat there, and I went into another room, and I wrote all the lyrics except for that one in like 10 minutes, and came back out and read them to Matt and the rest of the guys in the band. And we were just all kind of like had to take a minute, and step back.
Yeah.
She's always been an inspiration. It means a lot to me to be able to give something to her, because she fought so hard for her life and for other people's lives.
Mm-hmm. And how is she now?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. She's we actually talk about once every like 3 or 4 months, and she's in
remission.
They say healthy. Mm. So yeah, so they say she's healthy. It hasn't been 5 years yet, but she's completely hasn't felt any more effects. So she's doing really, really well.
That's because music heals. I believe it. 100%.
That's amazing. I agree with that. I do too. I think that.
My other favorite song is On Your Own.
That was one of my favorites too, honestly. That song, I wrote that song actually in my bedroom, me and acoustic, and I took it to the guys in the band. And that was one of those songs where it's like they loved it, but we were trying to play full band the entire song over it, and everybody kept saying, it doesn't go anywhere. It's kind of boring. It's great, content lyrically.
Yes.
And we were in the practice room producing the song, and Matt just out of nowhere goes, Chris, play the guitar part, Casey sing, nobody play anything.
Yeah.
Played it all the way through, and everybody's in the room just kind of like, whoa, that was powerful. He's like, now do it again, right there at the end of the second chorus, everybody come in and kick it. And it was like, it was brilliant on that part. It was like, once we heard it that way, we were like, now it makes sense. It was almost not going to make our record. Like everybody was kind of like, it's good, but it just doesn't have that factor. And when Matt heard that and told us to play it like that, it changed everything.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so glad it made the record. It is a great song. I love the style. I love your voice on that is really powerful. I love it.
Thank you.
So,
thank you so much.
Let's talk about touring. Any plans to tour, or what's that going to look like?
We're definitely looking at things. I know that sounds very open-ended, but, you know, we did, when we started with Bright Nights and all that, like, we toured and picked up every tour, and we were always, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, everything. And, but now, you know, we're a little bit older, and we have families and kids at home and stuff, and it's like we want to make sure that when we pick up a tour or do something like that, it's going to be the right one for us. It's not going to be something where we're just going out and just trying to get in front of anybody and everybody. You know, we want to make sure that we're getting with a band that the fans are going to connect with us. Like, for instance, when we toured off Bright Nights, you know, Champagne came out, and I think there was a little bit of a misconception of who we were as artists, which I completely understand. You know, it was the first song anyone ever heard from us, and it's this hard rock song, and, you know, it's got that lyrical content.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But people, when we would go play shows and play our other songs, people were like, I didn't know they were like this, you know, whatever. So a lot of people liked it, a lot of people didn't. When we played with Daughtry and Lifehouse for 9 months, you know, those were the fans that really connected. Those were the fans that really, really, you know, still to this day buy all of our stuff, you know, send us messages on Facebook. So we're really trying to make sure we make the smart choice, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
When it comes to touring, and we've had some offers, so we're in the midst of lining up something for us.
I was at that show, one of those shows with Daughtry and Lifehouse. That's when I saw you.
Really?
Yeah. Well, and I like both of those bands a lot. I love Lifehouse.
They're just amazing.
Yeah. So
and just amazing guys too. I swear to God, all of them all.
Yeah. I travel everywhere. I'm actually coming to St. Louis in a few weeks for a concert, and I live in Ohio. I literally go.
Okay.
I go everywhere. I'm coming to St. Louis to see Evanescence, if you know them.
Yeah, we toured with them on Carnival Madness. Pretty good friends with those guys. We'll probably be at that show.
Yeah, I can't wait. We got VIP and everything. I'm like geeking out over meeting Amy Lee. What's that?
You got to stop and say hi.
I would love to do that.
Absolutely.
So who do you want to tour with then? Have you thought about that? Have you ever thought about like when you're really thinking this out? Is there a band out there that you'd really like to tour with again, or for the first time?
I mean, such a hard question because, like, yes, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then, like, you think about it, and it's like it sounds so pretentious to say. Of course, we want to tour with the Magic Dragon.
Oh.
And it's like really like they're gonna pick you. Or like I've really gotten into, and I know like some of my bandmates make fun of me about it, but like I really love like that British band, the 1975.
Yep, I know them.
That band. They're just. I think that they're doing something. I think they're like the new Duran Duran. I love it. I love the bands like the Maine. They're a band like an alternative rock band. Trying to think of who else. Like I told our manager asked us like, give me 5 bands apiece on who you guys would love to tour with, and then I'll see if anything's happening. I'll see if we can get it. They were on mine. I can't remember who else was, but I mean, I would love to tour with like, you know, like some of my heroes. I know it's not Scott Weiland anymore, but Stone Temple Pilots is going back out. I'd love to go on tour with those guys, and I would love to do another tour with the Lifehouse guys or the Daughtry guys. They're amazing. Amazing people.
All good bands. I saw them last year, and I'm seeing Stone Temple Pilots this year on their like festival. They're doing a lot of festivals.
Yeah, they'll be here in St. Louis at Point Fest, and we're going to go see them there.
Yeah.
Blue October's another one. I'd love to tour with them.
Yeah.
I just love those guys. We played a ton of shows with them, and I just find just their company is just amazing, and I just love watching the singer on stage every night.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
Well, that's the best when you can tour with people that you like and people that you can kind of admire and maybe learn from, and they do the same for you. I'm sure, and I think that's such a great synergy there from bands. I love to see that kind of thing happen. So, what do you think is going to be your biggest challenge at this point as a band?
I think the biggest challenge right now, honestly, is what we were talking about earlier, is hoping and trying to get back into the heads and hearts of the fans. Yeah. You know, fans that were, you know, the half fans, the people who were on the fence, and then we went away for 3.5 years. It's like, And on top of that, then coming back with a album that's so polarizing. Like, we knew that's what was going to happen. We knew that when we heard this record, when it was finished, before anyone in the public had heard it, we knew this was going to be an album where people were going to love it, hate it. There was not going to be much in between. And it's been the way it's been. We've had a lot of, we've read some emails and some messages from fans who were just like, where did you guys go? What happened? Blah, 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 blah. And other people are like, I'm so glad you guys, were true to yourself. I'm so glad that we actually had a guy, kind of a funny story. We actually had a guy who pledged to our music thing. And all he did was pledge to buy the album, the $10 or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
He asked us for a refund.
You're kidding.
Because he was so mad that it did not sound like the Champagne Cavo. And I was so, we obliged and we sent it to him and we told him, but just go ahead and keep the album. That's fine. If that's how strong you feel about it, then more power to you. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is who we are. So we were just going to be true to ourselves.
It was interesting for me because I got the press release, of course, when I was reviewing the CD originally, and it said, this is kind of different or whatever it said, and when I was like, oh boy, what's this going to be like? And when I listened to it, I thought, and again, you're right, everybody hears music in a different way. It's that kind of thing. Two people can hear the same song and hear it totally differently. But when I heard it, I was like, I don't know, this sounds like what I would expect from them. Like, it sounds like the band that I liked back, before. I think Champagne for me it's not that I don't like the song. I do like the song, but it's the anomaly for me, I guess.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And that's what's funny is, like, that's the success we had, though. That's where it came from. That's, was Champagne. And honestly, you are 1,000% right. It was the redheaded stepchild of every song we'd ever written. Yeah. But it was one of those things where it's like, I wrote the chorus and part of the verse into my phone, driving home from work one day. Took 2 weeks, sent it, called the band, we were practicing, I played it for them, just thinking they're going to hate this, it's stupid. And they all were just like, no one said a word, everyone just kind of started going back to their instruments. I'm like, see, everybody hated it. And then all of a sudden they started playing music, and I'm like, is that what I just sang? And they're like, yeah, we wrote the song literally in like 5 minutes. And it was kind of that thing where we're like, this doesn't sound like anything else that we've written. And we know what it's going to do. You know what I mean? It's like, it's got some political content. It's a lot heavier than anything that we usually do. It's like, and we knew what it was going to do. Mm-hmm. What exactly, like you were saying, it's like, it's the anomaly. But I mean, really, can you just say I'm not going to play that song then, when you know that it's an actual really good song? So we just decided to fly with it, see how it panned out. I mean, I can't be happier. You know what I mean? It's like they gave us our success. It got us tours. It got us albums and deals. And
yeah, you're right. And there's a lot of bands like that I've interviewed before, and they're like, yeah, this song is our, kind of breakout song. We got to play it because the fans want to hear it, but it's not really necessarily our, favorite song or our signature song or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
Right. I've heard a lot of bands that, like, I can't remember who it was, and I don't quote me on this, but I swear to God, I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think Better Than Ezra, that song Good, it's like they hated it from the moment they wrote it.
Yeah.
And like, thank God they played it. You know what? I don't think it was I can't remember what it was. It's a huge hit of the 90s. And the producer heard it and was like, whoa, what's that? That's your hit. And they're like, no, that's just some song that we screwed around with for a while. It's horrible. And they're like, no, that's your hit. It's like, sometimes that happens. You just stumble onto something and it's like, it's catchy and it's great. And you're just like, are you not going to play it?
Right. Not if it's going to make you money, for one thing, I mean.
Absolutely. It's going to get your name in front of people, people. And then if they give you the time to check out all the rest of your songs, then it's going to, that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't judge yourself this one song. Listen to everything.
Right. I like so much. Imagine Dragons, speaking of them, was the same way. I don't really think I was a big fan. And then my son, who's grown up now, he said, you should listen to this particular song. And so this was like recently. It's called I'm So Sorry is the song. by
Yeah,
them.
I love that song.
I
I
love
love that
that
song.
song so much. And then I went back and started listening to their other music, and I'm like, actually, I like this. Then I went and saw them live, and it was all over for me. Like, I think they're
They're
brilliant.
amazing, aren't they?
Yes. And so it just takes that one song to hook you in, and then go back and listen to
Right,
some of the other stuff and really get to know the artist. And I think
right.
that's the way to
Gives
do
you a
it.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you want the world to know about Cavo?
I would say the mission statement that I would say for Cabo right now is, you know, give our record a listen.
Yeah.
Listen to it all the way through. Check out every song, and know that it comes from a place of honesty. You know, I mean, I've heard that a lot. People say it's like a cliche, but it says, "I try to write as honest as I can." I honestly do, and I do it kind of painfully. There's things that like I wouldn't tell the story of how the song was written or why it was because it's too personal,
Yeah.
but it's there in the song.
Yeah.
It's definitely there in the song, and I want people to understand that. I want people to give it a chance. So like what we were just talking about, like something people saying, "You're not the Champagne Cavo anymore." It's like we can give it a chance.
Yeah.
Treat it as a new band. Treat it as a new record. See what you think then. That's
Lo-
what I would say.
Love it. Love it so much. Thank you so much. You know what? I'm going to keep your phone
Oh,
number. If you
thank
think I'm
you.
joking and when I'm in St. Louis, I'm going to send you a text that says, "All right, let's say hello somewhere."
Absolutely, yeah. When you come in for
For
for the show, I mean,
Evanescence.
I'm pretty sure if I'm in town, I think that we're gonna go. We're
Yeah.
really good friends with that bass player and the drummer. I don't know if Will's out with them right now, but I know he's still in the band. But you know, if they're there, we're definitely gonna come say hi.
It's going to be a great show. I can't wait. I am so happy you guys are back. I'm so happy for your I hope that this record takes off and does great things. I can't wait to see you on tour. Um
Thank you.
and I wish you all the best and thanks so much for taking this time with me tonight.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, good luck. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay, bye.